W's in chat, everybody. That's another win. That's another 3 points in La Liga. And it was a wild game and a half. And we're going to get into pretty much all of it today. A lot of good things to talk about. A lot of really good things. Some, question marks or things to raise up. But overall, in a game that, is setting the tone for a bunch of wild football that we have coming up, I think it went exactly the way I would have liked it, more or less. And just getting into the game immediately, I didn't watch the first half, but I was able to get some highlights and talk to a few people on Twitter and on Discord. And it seemed like, they played a good game of football. I think they had 24 shots in the first half, and unfortunately, it just didn't connect. It didn't go in when we were saved by a little offside. Highline FC did their thing, and I think it was an experiment, but we've also experimented in the past two games against Dortmund and Celta, and I think this game went much better than those matches. Even though we did only win this one by one, just like the Celta match, I think this could have been like 5-0. Honestly, it could have been like that. They had that many chances. They played pretty solid football, and we saw Ansu Fati, Hector Fort play left back, Eric Garcia played right back, Araujo played. Ferran Torres started, and so that gives us a lot to talk about today, and a lot of ways to reflect on what we think we'll see going forward. And honestly, main point here, though, if you're gonna move on from here, is that I think we were able to see the team rotate successfully and play well in a way we really haven't seen. Now, we did have a ton of shots. I'll get the exact number here for you now. We had 40 shots. Oh my God, 4 big chances, 3.4 XG. So not like the highest percentage chances. I think Mallorca were throwing their bodies in front of every shot. The amount of blocks was ridiculous, but they created pretty solid opportunities. Lamine kind of fluffed one. Pedri was ridiculous. But let's go into the ratings. That'll help us review some of the guys that were rotated and everything, and just talk about the way this team moved forward. Now, Chesney had a pretty solid performance. I think he did save that high line when the high line got bailed out. I didn't see it, so I'm not exactly sure, but fine performance from him, 7. I think he did his job for the most part. Eric Garcia, though, played right back, and honestly, I thought he was fantastic. I really thought he was good, and it makes sense because Koundé has been our fullback all season. We don't necessarily expect much possessionally or going forward from our fullback, from our right back specifically. And in a game state like this, where we had really positive possession in very dangerous areas, we didn't really need him to do that much. And he was fine. He was possessionally really good because he's always been good on the ball. So I think he was helping to create those triangles a little bit. I feel like we saw more Barcelona-esque football today than we've seen in a while. And just they're holding the possession and they're bouncing it around. And I think some of that comes from Ansu because he's got that La Masia DNA. He's played in different styles of Barcelona football in the ways Rafinha hasn't as much. And I think that was kind of cool to see him create so many triangles with everybody. Eric Garcia was doing the same thing. I thought he was really good. Ended up getting the assist for the Olmo goal, though that was really Danny doing Danny's thing. But I think he deserves a 7.5 and 8. I think that's pretty fair. Araujo was pretty solid. He was blocking things when he needed to block them. And, it wasn't phenomenal in the first half as far as I was aware, but I think he was good in the second half, and so I think I'm going to give him a 7 because he did his job. Inigo, I thought he was really good. He's a great leader, was winning headers all over the place. 7.5 is fair for me. And then Hector Fort, we saw him rotated, play left back. He is right-footed. He usually plays on the right, and that's what he's used to. He didn't look great. He didn't look that fast. I noticed that specifically. He did mega guy and looked promising going forward a little bit, but I really don't think he looked phenomenal. I think I expected him to be better, and I think a lot of us did, especially against a Mallorca side that just wasn't really great everywhere but in the box, more or less. They just really did not look that good. And I would have expected Hector to do a little bit better. Now, again, this was his weaker side, but moral of the story here, he wasn't great, and I understand why Flick hasn't really been playing him that much. He didn't excel. This just wasn't his time. It wasn't his spot, and that's okay. We just got to move forward and kind of figure it out from here and see what we can do. I think Martin came in and he looked pretty solid, but for Fort, I'm just going to give him probably a 5 and probably a 6. I think it was a mediocre performance, but I would have liked to see more. We'd have to see him at right back, but I don't know if we're going to see that because the right side of our pitch is we don't expect much going forward from that side. I don't really expect Hansi to put much of a change there this season unless we, win out or something. But moving to the midfield, Pedri's the best player I've ever seen, bro. He is the man of the match. He's the best. He is so good. The passes he was making, his ability to find players, and not only that, but at the end of the game, hold possession, slow the game down, stop these guys from just attacking, and say, hey, yo, we just hold possession, just breathe. He was just standing over the ball. He's so good. It reminded me of Busquets a little bit in the way he was winning it back. The commentator said that he has the most ball recoveries of any midfielder, I believe, something like that, or ball retrievals. I'm not exactly sure the term he used in La Liga this season, and I'm not surprised. He was winning the ball back, and I saw a lot of that from Gavi too. I think their partnership looked a lot better today with Danny around than it has this season when Fermin's up there. I think, it just says a little bit of Danny Olmo's kind of more traditional Barcelona midfielder-esque, possession-based player than Fermin, more the runner, more of the intense, presser, kind of similar to Gavi. But again, I think Danny complements Gavi and Pedri and that relationship. So I think Gavi looked better, partially because of Danny on the pitch. But Pedri, I'm going to give him a 9.5. I'm going to give him my man of the match. I think he was perfect. He's so good at this game. He doesn't do anything wrong, and when he does something wrong, he wins the ball back. He took a couple shots from out wide, from up top of the box. I think he needs to start scoring those if he wants to make a Ballon d'Or push. But man, if we want to start the PR train, let me know. I'm game. I'll do what I need to do. I'll put some videos out there. I'll start convincing journalists as much as I can that he's the man for the job, because he's my guy. He is so good at this game, but I've complimented him enough. It's getting weird. Gavi, good game today. I think he's looking better, and he looked solid today. I think it's an easier game to look solid, but he was diving for his header. He was doing his thing. He was being Gavi and winning the ball back. I think he just looked really solid today. He looked, again, like I said before, I think a 7.5 is pretty fair. You could even probably argue more, but I'm going to stick with the 7.5. And moving forward, we're going to go to Danny first. I think Danny did Danny's thing. Apparently, he didn't look great in the first half, or where it wasn't his, top performance, but I think his goal was, exactly what we'd expect from him. He did his job perfectly and was linking up really, really well with the midfield. I think they were bouncing it back all over the place. I think an 8 is very fair. And then I'm going to add Ansu onto this, because I really liked the triangles that they were able to create. It seemed like Ansu was looking for that 1-2 and that possession-based creativity a little bit more than Rafinha does, where Rafinha is more going to run at people. Rafinha, when he came on, I was able to see him look a little bit more dangerous taking the ball, turning, and then running into space. Then Ansu was more receiving the ball, passing it behind, and then running into space, or looking for that 1-2, basically, in a way that Rafinha doesn't necessarily do that. And Ansu looked solid. He took some shots. I think this is a promising performance from him. Still not a perfect one, though. It's not. I'm not going to jump out of my seat here and say it was great. He took a couple shots. He fired, made good contact, but it wasn't the best placed. And when he was in his prime, this guy was just finishing like I've never seen before. So that's really the difference maker here. And unless he starts finishing like crazy, I don't think he's going to stay here, just because he's on 14 million euros a year, or 10, you could argue. I'm not exactly sure the number. I've seen it told to me different ways before. That's too much money for a guy who's not finishing well and who's not a traditional winger. When we already have Rafinha, who's an inside striker and is playing so well, it's hard to keep both of them. And so I would expect Ansu to get more minutes, because he looked good today. And I think he showed today that he can deputize for Rafinha. And with Lewandowski out, that means Ferran Torres is going to have to play striker probably, unless they push Dani Olmo up, which might change a little bit. But overall, fine performance from Ansu. I think a 7 is good. He looked promising, and this is a overall positive performance from him nonetheless. Ferran Torres, solid, a little frustrating with some of his decision-making, but he looked pretty good linking up and receiving the ball pretty well. Not the strongest player, not necessarily going to hold the defender off as well as Lewandowski, but even Lewa's not that good at it. So Ferran Torres, I think a pretty solid overall performance, even though he didn't really come away with anything too crazy. I think a 7.5, 7 is fair. Same for Ansu. And Lamine, I think Lamine was great. It's really frustrating to me that he didn't finish that chance where Pedri played him in at the end of the match there. Absolutely dirty pass. Fantastic run from Lamine, for that matter. And he just stepped over did a fake shot, then finished a little quickly, and it just hit the shin of the keeper, who kind of stood on his head today. Roman was really good, did his job, and made a lot of saves. It's really unfortunate, but not the best performance. I would have liked Lamine to put that away, save the game state here a little bit, but fine. 8, I think, is easily a fair for him today. I think he still played good football. It just didn't necessarily come out the way we necessarily would have wanted to. But we did see some subs from Hansi, and I think he made the right choice here because I think he was able to give these guys a run out, but not necessarily put a lot of pressure on them. And especially in a game like this where, I don't know, I feel like we had all the momentum, even though we conceded some chances, you could say. I think it's a good opportunity to get these guys pumped up, to get them going and to show that they've still got it. Like Rafinha, I thought he looked great today. You know, it didn't really come out necessarily, but I think he looked solid, looked dangerous, and I very easily could have seen him or Fermin or Pau Victor score today. They were really good. I think all of them looked really, really solid and probably built up some momentum for the Madrid game. And Martin is kind of what I want to focus on here a lot. And I think you could say the same for Gavi here, what I'm going to say in a second. But Martin came in for Fort and looked dangerous. Like, actually looked really, really strong, really solid, went forward well. And that's because I want to relate this to the Dortmund match specifically, where he was under a ton of pressure, could not break out of that pressure. But Mallorca did not press well. They weren't playing on the front foot at all. And because of that, Martin was able to find a little bit more space and do his thing. And, you know, that creates a better position, I guess, for him to do well. He looked good today, and I think Madrid are going to be a similar case to this Mallorca team. In a similar way that I think Gavi could look just as good if Dani Olmo plays. I think Gavi can find more space in that Madrid midfield where they don't have as many runners with the injuries they have. If Fede Valverde has to play anywhere but the midfield, or if Modric is in there, these guys are going to have the intensity level far ahead of them, even no matter what, they probably should. And that's a good state for Gavi. But I think Madrid specifically, since they can't press very well, I think it's a good game state for Martin to show his thing and actually play really well and be a comfortable left back choice going forward. Inter Milan, a little bit of a different story. I talked about that in my video here on the channel yesterday. But I think this was a really good run out overall against a team that's going to give us probably a similar game to Madrid. Madrid will obviously be more dangerous, and you know, they had 0.25 XG, had 4 shots in the second half, 1 big chance, and then the offside stuff. But I don't know. I think, you know, Courtois hasn't been in the best form, so I don't know if I'd expect him to make 12 saves like Roman did. And you know, they had 745 passes too. That's crazy. An absolutely ridiculous shot map today from Barça. And I'm not surprised. I think they outplayed them. This is exactly what I would have wanted going into a lot of football, because these guys just, they're going to have to deal with a lot of stress, and to be able to relax, especially when Madrid have to play Getafe tomorrow. Oh my God. Yo, the terror ball they're going to have to deal with it is so much different to today. I think Barca were getting fouled a little bit. No yellow cards were shown, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that terrible. Getafe is terrible. So, I think we lucked out today. Not only I think I lucked out as a fan, and we did, but Barca played well, and that's the main takeaway here. We're set up pretty comfortably to go in Saturday and to do our thing. These guys got rests. You know, in my video yesterday, I was a little worried about how they would manage the injuries and manage the minutes, and in my fatigue video on the channel too. But I think these guys did it and did it really well. Seeing Eric Garcia play right back too, I was like, what? I didn't expect that. But Kubarsi got time. Christensen is back in the lineup, so maybe he'll get some minutes against Valladolid potentially. Araujo looked fine today. Hector Fort got in as well, but that gave Koundé, or not Koundé, but Martin time to breathe. And then Gavi came in for Frankie. Again, it just feels ideal to me in a way that a lot of in years past we didn't have that. But thank you guys for watching. That was the post game today. I did make a video yesterday talking a little bit more about the injuries of Lewandowski and Balde and how that could affect the team. So if you guys want to watch that, click right here. Or if you guys want to watch my most recent video on the main channel, click right here. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody. Visca Barça.